Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football, TITTH number 8. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. Today we're going to be going over some Week 2 matchups, so Week 2 reviews, just running through some box scores, look at some snap count percentages, checking on some injuries, and I'll see where everybody's at, and just kind of a review of Week 2 to get ready for Week 3. So jumping into the first game, Cardinals coming into Baltimore. Baltimore taking care of business, 23-17. Lamar Jackson and company getting it done once again. Wasn't quite the track meet that we saw in Week 1. The Cardinals did put up a good fight, but just not enough in the end to seal the deal. Kyler Murray couldn't get a passing touchdown, had a lot of yardage, 350 passing yards. Kirk had a bunch of yards, 114. Larry Fitzgerald, 104 yards. A handful of catches for both, 6 catches for Kirk, 5 catches for Larry Fitzgerald. Obviously, the two biggest targets there thus far. I haven't been as high on Christian Kirk. I think I need to change my tune on him just because his inclusion in the offense has just been there. He's been really consistent. They're still trying to work in, Damiere Byrd. He had 7 targets for 6 catches, 45 yards. He's a deeper play, a deeper ad that you might want to look at. Keyshawn Johnson not really getting any love in this game. 2 targets, 1 catch for 31 yards. He's a guy that I could see, getting mixed in, week in and week out. Peaks and valleys type of guy. 5 catches, 70 yards. Next week he could go, 2 for 30 or something like this, 1 for 30. Then you have Michael Crabtree mixing in 2 catches, 13 yards. He's going to get included more into this offense as we get deeper into the season. So look for him to eat at some of the touches. But I think right now the best 3, pass catching options there are Kirk, Fitzgerald, and Byrd. So those would be the guys I'd be looking at. Outside of maybe handcuffing Chase Edmonds if you have David Johnson. He did leave that game with a wrist injury for about a quarter and a half or so. Came back, was able to get the job done with a touchdown, kind of saved your fantasy day a little bit. But other than that, he was nowhere to be found. 7 carries, 14 yards, not getting it done. 1 catch for 1 yard, no yards. 1 catch for no yards. Other side of the ball, you got Lamar Jackson and company getting it done. 24 completions, 37 attempts for Lamar Jackson, 272 passing yards, on top of 120 rushing yards with 16 attempts. Damn good efficiency. I said Lamar Jackson was probably going to open up the run game a little bit more this week. He did so, and that was just because you're going to see defenses pick up on his passing game more and more every week, and when that happens, he's going to unleash the run just a little bit more and more and more. I do think that teams might be able to figure out, one side over the other, stopping him from rushing the ball, containing him in the pocket, which is what they should try to do because, in my opinion, that's where he's weakest, is making throws and delivering, standing still in the pocket, because then you're just going to challenge his accuracy. But he has shown thus far that, hey, maybe that's not the best case. So teams are opening up more of a passing defensive scheme on him. But as it showed Sunday, it didn't work. He rushed for 120 yards. It's going to be difficult to stop him both in the passing game and the rushing game, just because the schemes, they don't necessarily mirror each other, when you're trying to contain a quarterback versus containing the open field versus the pass catchers. On the running backs, you got Mark Ingram logging 13 carries, 47 yards, a couple of catches, 30 yards. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill not doing anything. Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown getting it done for them in the offense. Clearly the 2 favorite targets. All these guys are playing a lot. Miles Boykin, Willie Snead, Roberts, Moore, they're all playing a lot, and they're not getting anything. They can't catch a cold. But Andrews and Brown, they're just getting a ton of love. So 9 targets for Andrews, 8 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Marquise Brown, 13 targets, 8 catches, 86 yards. Marquise Brown getting a lot more inclusion into the offense, so you'd like to see that. Him being on the field more will just absolutely help the rest of the targets in the field. So no one else to really grab there right now. Hayden Hurst did have a 1 catch, 1 yard touchdown. If you're in some super deep leagues and there are no tight ends available, he's someone that I might throw a lottery ticket on for a touchdown dependent player this coming week up against Kansas City. Other than that, no one else that you're really starting there. Willie Snead, I picked him up in a couple of spots just because I think he might be able to get some action, but he's not a favorite thus far of Jackson, and he hasn't really been worked in other than that 1 touchdown he had and the few targets that he had in Week 1. So didn't do much this past week. He might be a droppable guy, but I'm going to leave him on my bench for now. Do as you will, but I think I'm going to leave him on my bench for now. But he's definitely a drop candidate going forward. Next game, we got Chargers coming into Detroit. Lions taking care of business, 13-10 at home. Thought this game was going to have a lot more scoring. Was pretty disappointed on Sunday watching this game. Rivers didn't get a passing touchdown. He had an interception. almost 300 yards, 293 passing yards on 36 attempts for 21 completions. Not great, not great. You saw a lot of Keenan Allen targets, 15 targets, 8 catches, 98 yards. Not a ton of efficiency there. So, Rivers really did try to bottle it up to Allen, Jackson, and Eckler, in the game plan. Those were the guys that were getting the most action. Mike Williams down the stretch did get a couple of catches, one big play for 47 yards, 3 catches, 83 yards on 5 targets. But again, that's like a third of what Keenan Allen was getting as far as volume, 15 to 5. And then everyone else down the list, 2 targets, 2 targets, 2 targets, logging a catch. Dontrell Inman, logging a catch. Travis Benjamin, no catches. I thought he would have a better week. I thought he'd get some more inclusion. But again, when you have all that volume going to one guy, there's not much else to expect. Justin Jackson, 7 carries for 59 yards, a little bit more action this week. 17 carries for 66 yards for Eckler. Not a ton of efficiency there on all the carries, but he did get the job done with a rushing touchdown in the red zone, finished on the goal line. 6 catches, 67 yards for him too. He's getting a lot of action right now. I have to see that as the formula going forward. Rivers, Eckler, Allen, again, DFS, flex or cards going forward. Look for that stack. Same thing on the other side. I also like, a Stafford, Johnson, and Galladay stack based off of what I've been seeing. So Matt Stafford, 22 for 30, 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did have the 2 interceptions. I like what I was seeing before the interceptions, but that those mistakes were still there. Outside of that, though, you're only missing 8 passes and 2 of them are interceptions. A pretty efficient day still outside of those mishaps. Kerryon Johnson, 12 carries for 41 yards, 3 targets for 2 catches, 47 yards, and a catching touchdown. So he did have, 88 yards overall. Still a pretty efficient game for him. You'd like to see him get more done in the rushing game. Ty Johnson came into this game, had 5 carries, 30 yards, 2 catches, 6 yards. I do look for him to have a role going forward. He played pretty well with Matt Stafford in the preseason, caught one of his touchdowns in the preseason. On a swing route or a route run out to the flat or something like that. Just a really simple play that they ran. Easy touchdown for Stafford and Johnson in the preseason. So they showed some chemistry there. The Lions have cut ties with C.J. Anderson. He's no longer with the team. So I grabbed all of Ty Johnson that I could, and I could get him for free. So if he's still available in your leagues and you need a running back on your bench that's a handcuff or a flyer, Ty Johnson, get all over him. But Kenny Galladay, big day, 8 catches on 10 targets, 117 yards, and a touchdown, putting up wide receiver 1 numbers. Really solid performance. Like I said, I like that stack. Stafford, Johnson, and Galladay when they have a juicy matchup coming up. I think that those 3 guys have a lot of potential for some high-scoring weeks. As long as the volume is there for Galladay. Week 1 they did spread it around quite a bit. T.J. Hawkinson took a step back, only had 3 targets. Marvin Jones was included a little bit more, 6 targets, 5 catches, 43 yards. And Jesse James, hey, he's alive. 3 catches, 18 yards, outplayed Hawkinson. You're going to see those guys kind of eat out of each other. Biggest disappointment, Danny Amendola. He had 13 targets in week 1. In week 2, 1 target, no yards, no catches. Sorry, guys, that really sucks. A lot of people spent a good amount of FOB on him. That was some exciting play that he showed in week 1. But at the same time, he only played about half the snaps in week 1. So, that's what you can expect, going forward with these pass catchers. I do like Galladay and Johnson the most as far as like individual plays going forward. Marvin Jones, flex play, T.J. Hawkinson, Jesse James are going to kind of eat out of each other back and forth. But Hawkinson showed you his ceiling. He can be that guy. So when he has a good matchup against some poor linebackers, he's definitely something you want to jump on. So in this game, Mike Williams only played about 61%. He was coming in questionable, banged up. So that's actually pretty good, I think, playing more than half the game. I think when he's getting healthier, he'll obviously, in the coming weeks, eat a little bit more into the snap count. Eckler playing a ton, 73%. Allen playing 91%. Justin Jackson playing 27% of the time. So Justin Jackson only playing 27% of the time, getting 7 carries is pretty good, actually. Meaning when they brought him in to be used, which is nice to see if you're an owner of his. As far as the Lions, Danny Amendola played 57% of this game and only had that 1 target. So just shows you, that Stafford was really targeting the big guys with Johnson and Galladay. What's some other stuff here? C.J. Anderson only 20%, Ty Johnson only 21%. I expect Ty Johnson's stock to go up or share of the snap count to go up. J.D. McKissick still there, right? And they also signed Paul Perkins. I don't expect him to get mixed in right away, but he will eat some touches as well. But McKissick was only used literally like on 4 snaps, 7% of the time. So he's barely used. He's not really a non-factor for them. So Ty Johnson for the Lions. I think he's really the only other name. Danny Amendola, not a drop candidate yet, but in the coming weeks, if he's still showing this type of situation, not getting over 5 targets, not being on the field more than 60% of the time, maybe someone you're letting go and you're kind of regretting some FOB spendage. For the Chargers, I was all over Benjamin coming into the week, but unfortunately, you're going to drop him if you added him. Hope you didn't spend any FOB on him. Virgil Green doesn't really seem ownable. Played 88% of the time, did absolutely nothing. He had 2 targets and 1 catch. So those are the guys to add, drop, or subtract, whatever, from that matchup or those teams. All right, Colts playing spoiler on the road, 19-17 at the Titans. Jacoby Brissett coming in, getting it done. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Super efficient. Didn't take a lot of chances or risks. His longest play was for like 19 yards. He did actually add in 7 carries for 25 yards, keeping some drives alive. We did see an emergence of Jordan Wilkins. He had a big play for 55 yards, 82 yards overall in the game, kind of showing some favoritism over Nyheim Hines. So I think Nyheim Hines is a potential drop candidate at this point. He's barely getting used, not even in the passing game, which you would have liked to see him get used as. It's more of a scat back role. Marlon Mack, a little disappointing, 20 carries for 51 yards, 2 catches for 12 yards. They're giving him the volume, so you have to like that. But what he did with it was absolutely atrocious. You're playing up against a strong Titans defensive front, but at the same time, your offensive line is one of the best in the league. So you do kind of expect a little bit more from him. The Titans obviously couldn't hit on Wilkins. They were probably thinking something else was getting drawn up at that point when Wilkins was taking off for some of those big plays. The pass catchers for the Colts kind of held in check a little bit. T.Y. Hilton, 4 catches, 6 yards, 43 bats. 4 catches, 6 targets, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Sorry. Eric Ebron, 3 catches, 25 yards, and a touchdown. He was able to come alive this weekend, showing some favoritism to the tight ends. Jack Doyle, 2 catches, 21 yards. Meh. I mean, it's not that varied of the Eric Ebron, 3 catches for 25 yards, but obviously you like the touchdown. They're both getting used. If one of those guys goes down, obviously there's going to be a huge, or not huge, but a transition to that volume. One of those guys could start getting 7, 8 targets a game. Chester Rogers is starting to help out. 3 catches, 24 yards. All you saw here is just Brissett spreading it out, just giving it to everybody, cutting not taking risks, not forcing it to anyone. And this is the type of stat lines that you're probably going to get from these guys. So most of them are going to be lower end position players. T.Y. Hilton's still a wide receiver 2 in my opinion, because I do think he can have some big weeks. But Eric Ebron, Jack Doyle, lower on the tight end list. Rogers. Flex play. Mac is a lock, and I don't know if you're starting Jacoby Brissett necessarily every week, because I think Mac will have some bigger weeks going forward. And the passing game isn't really just there to demand a ton of yardage for Brissett. The touchdowns were nice to see. He had 3 touchdowns this week, but if Mac is having some big weeks, I expect Brissett to have a back seat in the stat department. So not a guy that you're starting every week in standalone leagues, but definitely a guy that you're starting every week in super flex leagues. Titans, Marcus Mariota, kind of a meh performance in my opinion. 19 completions, 28 yards, 19 completions, 28 attempts, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Did have 5 carries for 32 yards rushing. Not really much there for me. I wasn't really impressed. Derrick Henry took it away, 15 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. 2 catches, 12 yards added in on top of that. I still think Marcus Mariota is on replacement watch. I think Tannehill could come in at any time and take his job. I know that he had a really good week 1 stat line box score, but I just don't see it there. I don't really see the chemistry. He's not really including his number 1 receiver, Corey Davis, 3 catches, 38 yards on 5 targets. Delaney Walker, still putting up fair stat line, 4 catches, 39 yards for Delaney Walker. That's kind of what you expect from him. And some weeks he'll toss in a touchdown into that stat line and it'll look even better. But, not getting Adam Humphries included. Even A.J. Brown this week, only 3 catches, 25 yards. Just really meh, just really milking it. I'm not really sure what to expect out of Marcus Mariota on Thursday night. Playing on a short week, playing in Jacksonville, playing on the road against a strong defense. He didn't really look that great to me. Brissett was just more impressive. He was able to finish his drives. Mariota, only 154 passing yards. This game was really just slow rolling. They were trying to really mix in a lot of the run, so you didn't see either side taking any big shots. That could be it as well, but I just see Marcus Mariota being on replacement watch. I'm not comfortable starting him in any formats really going forward. Not showing a ton of accuracy. The yardage wasn't there this past week. He's playing up against a good defense this week, so you're definitely not starting him up against Jacksonville on the road this week. So we'll see what happens. And you got to get in your guys, right? Corey Davis, AJ Brown, and Humphreys. Get these guys the ball. There's some playmakers. Corey Davis still 83% of the game. Not getting a ton of action. Delaney Walker behind him 57%. Adam Humphreys 57%. Tajay Sharp mixing in 53%. He's not really doing anything. Dion Lewis playing half of the snaps and still not putting up anything in the box score. Derrick Henry playing 50% of the snaps and getting a ton of work. So obviously you're starting Derrick Henry going forward. You'd like to see him get used more as far as snap count percentage, being on the field, demanding the ball more, demanding more volume. But at the same time, they got to save up his legs, save up his strength. And they could have really just split this because they knew they were coming into a short week, up against Jacksonville as well. For the Colts, anyone that added the Deion Canes, the Chester Rogers, those guys, 46% for Deion Kane, 40% on the playing time for Chester Rogers. Not a ton of action there. Paris Campbell, who I would have been higher on, only 25%. So not guys that you're looking at going forward, in my opinion. The starters that you're looking at there are, T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack, and then, if you have to throw a flyer on a tight end, pick a Doyle or an Ebron. Both are going to be touchdown dependent going forward. All right, so we got the 49ers at the Bengals. 49ers cleaning up 41-17 at the Bengals. Jimmy Garoppolo, 17 for 25, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have the 1 interception. Still making some mistakes here or there, but they were really able to lean on the run game on the road and eat up a ton of clock and open up a lot of opportunity in the passing game. So Breida had 12 carries, Mostert had 13 carries, Jeff Wilson had 10 carries, Breida 121 yards, Raheem Mostert 83, Jeff Wilson 34, and Jeff Wilson finished with the 2 damn touchdowns. He finished off in the red zone, so I'm not sure if that's going to be the thing going forward, if he was just the guy that was available in the workload at that time, because obviously you saw all these guys getting a ton of work. Mostert added in 3 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown, so Mostert had, well over 100 yards, was it 70? Over 150 yards. Breida, 130 yards. He added in a catch for 11 yards on top of his 121 rushing yards. So all of these guys were fantasy relevant going forward. I'm confidently starting Matt Breida and Raheem Mostert in any format, really. But Jeff Wilson, I'm just not really sure about. I wasn't on my radar. Wasn't really considering him. Now he's there getting some action. So I think he's a guy that you have to at least try to get a share of, especially if you can get him for free. I'm not sure if anyone's going to spend a ton of FOB on him. I would assume that FOB is getting spent on Mostert if he wasn't already grabbed. But, Wilson, not someone I'm going to spend anything on, but if I can get him for free, I'll definitely scoop him up. The receivers there, Deebo Samuel logging in 5 catches for 7 targets. Marquise Goodwin popped off the game for a 38-yard touchdown, but only had another 2 catches throughout the game, totaling 3 catches for 77 yards. And George Kittle had 3 catches for 54 yards. A little concerning for Kittle. You'd like to see a little more action there for him, more catches, even more yardage, honestly. He's the tight end that broke the record for receiving yards and for a regular season last year. So, I'd like to see a little bit more love for him. But you have these guys eating up in the run game, Breida, Mostert, and Wilson. So when that's the focus of the scheme, these guys are going to take a back seat, these receivers. Samuel, got to own him. Goodwin, got to own him. Kittle, got to own him. I'm not really sure about these other guys. Richie James, Kendrick Bourne, Juszczyk obviously gets a little bit of love every now and again, but only in super, super, super desperate situations would you ever grab him. But yeah, those are really the only guys that I'm going to own. I'm going to grab a share of Jeff Wilson if I can for free, but I'm not really focusing on that because I'm starting Breida or Mostert if I can, because I still think that they're going to get a majority of the volume and the action out of the backfield. Dante Pettis watch, haven't seen him. He had 1 completion for 16 yards. Hey, good job, bud. Why don't you play wide receiver? I don't understand. No stats recorded at the wide receiver position for Dante Pettis this week. Where is he? I don't know. Can't find him. Over to the Bengals. Andy Dalton did not throw 52 times, but he did throw 42 times for 26 completions, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Kind of a meh day, but he was able to hit his big guys in Tyler Boyd and John Ross. John Ross, 4 catches, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. Tyler Boyd, 10 for 10 for 122 yards. Clearly showing he's the favorite target there, that he's the guy to own out of the Bengals offense right now. Mixon banged up, still 11 carries for 17 yards. Try to give it a go. No efficiency there as he's clearly still hurt. Giovanni Bernard, only 6 attempts. I would have thought that we would have seen more of him in this game, but we didn't. He only logged 1 catch for 7 yards, so not a ton of love there for the running backs. They're really showing that they're a pass-heavy team. You might want to take some flyers on some of their deeper guys like Eifert or Uzama, right, in some DFS and at the tight end position. This week, Eifert had 5 targets for 3 catches and a touchdown, only on 9 yards. But just some flyer options, because you're going to get Boyd and Ross in a lot of like DFS lineups. You're going to get Joe Mixon in there, but because they're passing so much, throw me an Eifert, throw me an Uzama at any given point as a flyer. Tyler Eifert, not really ownable, super low on the tight end list. Only had 9 yards in this game, but he was touchdown dependent. Was able to seal the deal on the touchdown. So again, you can find that value there week to week, but not something that you want to have steady going forward as your strategy. You want to get that lockdown guy. Look for the Vernon Davises, the Greg Olsons on free agency, on waivers. Guys like that. Snap counts in this game. Where's Dante Pettis? 49%. Half the game didn't record a stat at the wide receiver position. George Kittle, 67%. Juszczyk played a ton always. Monster at 47%. Breida, 29% and had 112 yards. Wow, they put him away. Jeff Wilson, 21%. Yeah, Breida came out and was getting used a ton, and they were just using him sparingly after that, and he was just picking up chunk after chunk after chunk. Good on you, Matt Breida. Saving some of my fantasy days, I'll tell you what. Jeff Wilson, 21%. Not sure if that's ownable, guys. And, man, I've got to question Matt Breida going forward if he's only getting that type of usage. Monster at 47%. I mean, obviously they mixed all those guys into the scheme, but, man, three-headed monster. You never know what you're going to get out of those sometimes. They can be very varied from week to week. All right, looking at the Bengals, John Ross, 86%. I think you got to start him going forward. I know he's got a bum matchup this week up against Buffalo, but leading the choir here with 86% on the field, they're showing that they want to use him a lot and open up the field quite a bit. Tyler Boyd behind him at 79%. Damian Williams, 64%, not getting any action whatsoever right now. Tyler Eifert, 27% to Uzama's 60%. Uzama's 60% of the time on the field, 42 snaps to Eifert's 19. But Eifert getting included into the pass game, so kind of protecting Eifert a little bit. Let Uzama come up the field. We'll throw Eifert in there in the red zone, let him finish things off because he has the pass catching ability. That kind of makes sense, right? So those are some guys you might want to add going forward. I think Uzama and Eifert are kind of some deeper tight end plays. Ross, you got to keep in your lineup. Boyd, you got to keep in your lineup. No one else really here from the Bengals showing me anything that warrants any spendage on waivers. Giovanni Bernard, you got to keep on your team to handcuff Mixon no matter what if you have him. I think Bernard is a decent running back stash just to begin with. And then the Niners, like I mentioned, just grab one of those running backs. You got to have one of them, I suppose. You can't let them sit there on the waivers for free for somebody. All right, next game we got Jags at the Texans. Again, disappointing game. Wanted a lot more scoring here. Thought that at least Houston would push enough tempo or go up enough at home. They have a pretty good offense. I don't know if you've heard about Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, but they're pretty damn good. I figured they'd score some points here still early on, even with, Ramsey shadowing Hopkins. I still kind of assumed for him to get mixed in for one touchdown. But he didn't. Deshaun Watson, 16 for 29, 159 yards. Completely abysmal, was sacked another 4 times, and I just don't understand the priority of not protecting this guy. Yeah, sure, it's our job. Yeah, you don't think we want to protect him? Of course we're trying to do our job, protect him. Well, you're not doing it, offensive line, okay? You brought in Tunzel, all right? You couldn't get him uploaded on enough information to protect the quarterback from 1 less sack, 2 sacks, 1 sack. Come on, this is just getting ridiculous. If you have Deshaun Watson, you have to be a little bit concerned, just a little bit, because they have no focus on keeping this guy safe, not whatsoever. 4 attempts, 5 rushing yards, added in a rushing touchdown to save his fantasy day. Gardner Minshew didn't do anything on the other side, only 1 touchdown, similar situation. Gardner Minshew outplayed Watson in this game, down the stretch. It's crazy. It's just nuts. And it's because of the offensive line. They can't protect him enough. Even when he is getting the ball out, when he's not getting sacked, it's ridiculous. He's getting pressured and he's getting the ball out, and that's where a lot of his incompletions are coming from. He's throwing up air balls, throwing balls to the sidelines because he's just stopping sacks or preventing sacks. It's ridiculous. All right, so sorry about that. Let me get into the stat lines here. Gardner Minshew, 23 for 33, 213 yards and a touchdown. Added in 6 attempts, rushing for 56 yards. Guy can mix it up. I'm a big advocate of the Jags on Thursday Night Football. Last I saw, the number was 39.5 for the over-under. I'm kind of liking the under, over. I don't know. Don't mess with that number. Don't mess with it. I hate it. 39.5. It's teasing me. I want to take the over. I do. But I don't know if the Titans are going to score enough points. I really don't. I think the Jags could score a fair amount of points on a short week at home. You know, I know both sides are lacking rest, right? But give me the home team every time. The bet of the day yesterday, you know, take Jags at home, you know, right? Take the Jags at home against the Titans. They're a dog. They're like plus 115 right now. Take that bet. All right, so Gardner Minshew, I already did him. Leonard Fournette, 15 carries, 47 yards, 4 catches for 40 yards. Where is the touchdown? Had 87 yards total, combined all-purpose. Not terrible. But where is the touchdown, Leonard Fournette? Give me that touchdown or the 2-point conversion. Where's it at? Come on, bud. Wide receivers for the Jags, I'm going to start all of them going forward. Chris Conley, DJ Shark, D.D. Westbrook. D.D. Westbrook only had 1 catch in this game, but he did have 5 targets. Texans defense just made a priority to shut him down. I really like these other guys, DJ Shark, Chris Conley. Shark mixing in the touchdown, 7 catches for 55 yards, 4 catches for Conley, 73 yards, still showing that he's a deep threat. He had a long play for 31 yards, the longest of all the receivers. So I'll start all those guys in formats where I need a wide receiver in my flex. I'm comfortable with any of them right now. Gardner Minshew is showing that he's a usable quarterback. You know, he's definitely startable in super flex leagues. And hey, I ain't going to knock if you're starting him in the standalone league because there's a lot of quarterbacks out right now. You know, Breeze, Big Ben, Darnold. I get it. You know, I could see him starting in a standalone league in this week because he does get to play on a short week at home. And then it's all these short weeks on Thursday Night Football, they're going to advantage the home team every single time. In this game, D.D. Westbrook leading the way, 87% snap count. Leonard Fournette on the field, 97% of the time. Not getting bell cow yardage, but bell cow work, 97% of the time. Definitely a guy you want to start on Thursday Night Football. D.D. Westbrook, already said him, 87%. Chris Conley, 85%. DJ Shark, 82%. All getting used a lot. They're on the field a ton. Get them in your lineups because they're going to get used. Gardner Minshew clearly shows he's a passing quarterback, and he's keeping drives alive with his feet as well. Get all these guys into your lineup, all right? James O'Shaughnessy, Jeff Swaim, 44 snaps for Shaughnessy. Swaim, 35 snaps. I'm not starting any of these guys. They're not ownable. Texans, Will Fuller playing a ton. DeAndre Hopkins playing a ton. Carlos Hyde playing a lot over Duke Johnson. How did I not touch on that? Sorry. Carlos Hyde, 20 carries for 90 yards. Completely overate Duke Johnson. 6 carries for 31 yards. Nothing impressive there whatsoever. Hopkins, 5 catches, 40 yards. Will Fuller, 4 catches, 40 yards. Kenny Stills, 2 catches, 38 yards. Jordan Atkins, 2 catches, 25 yards. Nothing to write home about here, even with DeAndre Hopkins. Super disappointed in the splits between Hyde and Johnson. I really think they need to use Johnson more. He's just a versatile weapon, in the backfield, especially when you're trying to prevent sacks and loss of yards behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I think he'll help you out back there, Deshaun Watson. Bob, get him on the field. Come on, what are you doing? Didn't understand that there, but Carlos Hyde getting it done. 20 carries, 90 rushing yards, getting some action there, being able to move the chains and protect Watson from being killed with the run game. But obviously that didn't work for them. You played right into the Jaguar strategy, running it right up the middle. So Duke Johnson, 39% snap count. Carlos Hyde, 60%. I'd like to see that even out going forward. I'm still starting Duke Johnson going forward. I'm still starting Carlos Hyde going forward. But I want to see more of a split. I think that they will be more of a versatile offense if they keep the defense guessing. Are we going to pound it? Are we going to pass it outside? Are we hitting one of our big targets downfield? They have a lot of weapons there. They need to be more creative than just right up the middle. Sorry, guys. Do better. Will Fuller, 90%. DeAndre Hopkins, 94%. Got to start those guys every week, of course. DeAndre Hopkins, Kiki Kute logging in 44%, and Kenny Stills at 38%. Bill O'Brien said he was going to get more work for Kenny Stills. This isn't really what I'm looking at. When I want to see more of a workload, 38%. He's a drop candidate right now. Kute and Stills are going to eat snaps behind the two big guys in Fuller and Hopkins. So I'm not starting either of those guys. They're ownable, if you maybe have like a Hopkins and you want to handcuff them or something like that. Going into the next game, Vikings at the Packers. Again, kind of a disappointing game. Wanted to see more offense here. 21 Packers, Vikings 16. Kirk Cousins, super abysmal, 14 for 32, 230 yards, no accuracy whatsoever. Couldn't find his targets. Could barely find Diggs or Thielen. Found Diggs on a 3-yard touchdown that was called back. I think he had another touchdown that was called back even before the 45-yard bomb that he hit with him. That was the saving grace for Cousins Fantasy Day and Stephon Diggs. So Stephon Diggs had the 1 catch for 49 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. Ouch. Ouch. Packers defense, hey, Aaron Rodgers told you, they got a real one, so it is what it is. Adam Thielen, 5 catches for 75 yards, still able to get things done. Diggs is the target downfield. Adam Thielen's playing safe underneath, under the possession coverage, so that's just what you're going to get out of him. Dalvin Cook, still taking care of business, 154 yards and a touchdown. Their saving grace in their offense. Added in 3 catches for 37 yards, an absolute start going forward. I hope he doesn't get hurt for anyone, anywhere. Just stay healthy, Dalvin Cook. Have yourself a year, dude, because he's just fun to watch. I mean, I'll throw him in a DFS lineup every single week, hoping he can make me a millionaire someday, because he's a great player. He's super talented. This is exactly what we want to see out of him, and all he has to do is stay healthy. Hopefully that offensive line can protect him going forward. Get you some Dalvin Cook. All right, Aaron Rodgers for the Packers, 22 for 34 yards, 209 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pretty efficient. Not asking him to do too much. Leaned on the rushing game with Aaron Jones, 23 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown. LaFleur has come out and said that he wants to balance out the run game, wants to split carries between Jones and Williams, but this game in general just demanded for more clock possession, play and keep away, and they were able to do that down the stretch. Jones added in 4 catches for 34 yards. Jamal Williams had 9 carries, 28 yards, so you still see some usage out of him there. And he did open up the game with a 3 catches for 13 yards and a touchdown. He opened up the game with a pass-catching touchdown. So that was nice to see. Marquez Valdez versus Geronimo Allison, week 2. Geronimo Allison came out on top, 4 catches, 25 yards and a touchdown. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 3 catches for 19 yards. Nothing there for me, not really anything impressive. I want to start MVS going forward, but neither one of these guys really shows me that you have to start one over the other. I'm just going to bench both of them probably. I'm just going to fade both of them. I think there's just enough options out there at the wide receiver position that you can find value in without taking big risks on these guys each week, because this is what we're going to see going forward. Maybe if we see a bigger defensive matchup like we did against the Bears, maybe Allison takes the back seat. Maybe when things open up a little bit more, Allison, kind of steps in and does a little bit more. I'm not sure, but I'm not confident enough in either of them to start one over the other or plug either one of them into my lineup. There's just a ton of options on the waivers right now with guys that have growing value. A guy like Nelson Aguilar, even like a Devin Smith right now. I might take him over those guys just because he's playing Miami this week with Dallas defense or Dallas offense that's just firing on all cylinders. Speaking of Dallas, 31 Cowboys, 21 Redskins at Washington. Dak Prescott, 26 for 30, nearly perfect, 269 yards for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception in one of those 4 mishaps. Had a 51-yard long bomb for a touchdown, 5 carries, 69 yards, adding in the rushing game. So Dak Prescott, QB1. I think he's like number 2 overall, like in QB stats. Having himself a couple of weeks here, starting him in a couple of spots in fantasy, so I'm super excited about his value going forward. Going to have a big week probably up against Miami, but hey, big surprise, Dak Prescott. I didn't think he'd come in and light it up like this. Thought he'd be good, but lighting it up. All right, Zeke Elliott clocking in 23 carries for 111 yards, adding in 2 catches for 9 yards. Doesn't seem like they're focusing on passing him the ball a lot just yet. He did still have over 80 catches last year, so you could see Zeke working into the pass-catching game a little bit more. You had Tony Pollard, 4 carries, 22 yards with a catch for 3 yards. Still getting mixed in, not really ownable unless you own Zeke and you need that handcuff. Randall Cobb, Devin Smith, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper for the receivers, all having pretty respectable days. Amari Cooper, 4 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. still getting it done in the end zone, but you would have liked to see more yardage out of his play. Michael Gallup, 6 catches for 68 yards. Did get hurt in this game, was taken out, going to miss about 2 to 4 weeks. Emerges Devin Smith, 3 catches for 74 yards for a touchdown. But I do see Randall Cobb, who had 5 catches for 24 yards, still getting a little bit more playing time than Devin Smith. I think that they will split work behind Amari Cooper, and they'll both just get mixed in. Jason Witten, another touchdown, 4 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown. Jason Witten, not a commentator. He's a football player, guys. It's awesome. I love it. Created the block and slip. I love watching him play. Not really. It's just funny. I just love watching him score touchdowns because I think of how bad he was as a commentator and how awesome it is that he's just like this old guy just in there doing work, cleaning up, being fantasy relevant. I love it. Get it done, Jason Witten. For the Redskins, Case Keenum, not a bad day. 26 for 37 yards, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, taking care of the ball, not making a ton of mistakes. Adrian Peterson in the run game could not get anything going, 10 carries for 25 yards and 1 touchdown there, but that was about it. The receivers, Terry McLaurin, 5 catches, 62 yards, saved his day with a touchdown. Trey Quinn still getting a lot of action, 4 catches for 36 yards. Paul Richardson found himself in the end zone, 3 catches, 16 yards, and a touchdown. Not going to grab me any Paul Richardson. Quinn and McLaurin are interesting starts. They do play a lot. They both play over 90% of the snap count. So, their availability can equal production. This week they're playing the Bears at home on Monday night. I will be there. A little extra love this week for the Bears. I will be there on Monday night, so I will let you know how it looks. But they're going to have a tough time up against the Bears defense. Hey, little fella, get down. They're going to have a tough time up against the Bears defense. Not really sure what to expect out of that matchup. Could be a slow running, slow hitting game. Could not be a lot of offense. The Bears' offenses look kind of abysmal. But the Redskins, they've been able to show some efficiency. Case Keenum playing very safe. The run game hasn't been there for them thus far. Geist getting hurt, not great. McLaurin and Quinn are the only guys that own deep. Vernon Davis had 3 catches for 29 yards. But I'm still gonna, kind of back end him as a flex. I don't know if I'm gonna start him this week in any spots where I need a tight end. There might be some other plays out there that I'm looking at that might be a little bit more juicy, but the matchup for Chicago on paper looks good. I think they're ranked 5th up against the tight end scoring or something like that. So maybe he gets some work done. Somebody's got to catch the ball there, but he might be a guy that I'm sitting this week up against the Bears D. Cowboys, deep plays. You're looking at Devin Smith. He had 26% snap count. Michael Gallup still played a lot in this game before getting hurt. He had 67% snap count. So look for Devin Smith and Randall Cobb's usage to go up. Randall Cobb already playing a ton, actually. He plays 76% of the time, so he's already on the field a lot. So you probably are going to see a lot of Devin Smith then this coming week up against Miami. The other guys there, like a Cedric Wilson, only played 6 snaps. I'm not sure how much of the backups are going to get included because I don't really know what you do up against Miami. Do you bring in your secondary guys? Do you play your starters the whole time? If you do bring in your secondary guys, how many possessions do you need to be up by? Is it 5? Is it 6? I think 4 is low. I think 4 scores is still low to keep in your starters still. That's a little disrespectful to the other team. I think even in the fourth quarter, this is the NFL, anything can happen. But I think 5 to 7 possessions ahead, you are more than warranted, to put your starters on the bench, especially when you're talking like the Cowboys playing Miami. You got a guy like Zeke. You got a guy like Dak Prescott that's playing lights out QB1 of the year type numbers, right? Last week, super disappointed in Bill Belichick keeping Tom Brady in that game. I know the defense was playing offense for the Patriots at one point, but come on. Come on. Tom Brady's playing into his 40s. Leave him be. You're up. What do you have to prove up against the Dolphins? Please. What is that? Shame on you, Bill Belichick. Do better. All right, Redskins snap counts. You're looking at McLaurin and Trey Quinn. 79% actually for this game. Check myself on Trey Quinn. He played a little bit less. Week 1, he was over 90%. Looks like they included Paul Richardson more. He had 87% of the snaps. Like I said, though, only 3 catches for 19 yards. What's he going to do? Trey McLaurin, 90%, 56 snaps. He's obviously a starter. They're number 1, it looks like, right now. Vernon Davis coming in at 46 snaps, 74%. He's playing a lot. Chris Thompson, 45%, only 28 snaps. He needs to get on the field more. He's a weapon for them. I'm not sure why they're not using him enough. Look for him to get used more in this next coming week up against the Bears. They're going to need some big hitters, some guys that can hit the outside with some speed. Next game, we have the Seahawks coming into Pittsburgh, playing spoiler, 28-26. Disappointing to see Ben Roethlisberger go down. I don't know what his deal is, if it's, like you said, a Tommy John surgery or what, but it was literally like, and it died. And it's dead. It's like some Henry Rodengartner shit. I don't know. But yeah, his arm is done. It's dead for the year. They're checking him out. Ben Roethlisberger was 8 for 15, 75 yards. No touchdown, no interception, just no contact throughout his arm. They threw in Mason Rudolph, 12 completions, 19 attempts, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. They might have themselves a quarterback in Pittsburgh. Excuse me. The one interception, Dante Moncrief. Just Dante fucking Moncrief. The guy is abysmal. Where's his box score? Where are you at, Dante Moncrief? How many misses did you have this week? Oh my God. He only had 1 target. I didn't know it was his only target. I didn't know it was his only 1 target he had in the entire game. Last week he had like 10 targets, like 3 catches, nothing. He couldn't catch anything. Couldn't catch a cold. This week he has 1 target and he tips. He just tips the ball to another player on the other team. That's all he does. I didn't know it was his only target. That sucks. I'm really sorry, Mason Rudolph. What a bastard Dante Moncrief is. Anyways, getting to the other players on this team. James Conner, 11 carries, 33 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches, 12 yards. He was injured on the day, got taken out. So Jalen Samuels got some work, 3 carries, 18 yards, 1 catch and 13 yards. Connor says that he's good to go, but he wasn't practicing on Wednesday, so we'll see what we're going to get going forward. Juju Smith-Schuster, 5 catches, 84 yards. Vance McDonald's, 7 catches, 38 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was able to get it done for Mason, most consistently. So he's definitely a guy that I'm probably going to roll out going forward if Mason Rudolph is showing some favoritism to him. 8 targets for Juju still. James Washington got mixed in for 3 targets. James Washington was a favorite of Mason Rudolph going in the preseason. When James Washington was getting a ton of hype in training camp and preseason, it was because he was performing very well, but it was with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. He was the guy that he was playing with at that time. So I like that connection going forward. Get yourself some shares of James Washington. Deontay Johnson had 4 targets, but only 1 catch. He's not a guy that I'm on top of. Ryan Switzer, again, 4 targets, 1 catch. Not a guy I'm on top of whatsoever. Vance McDonald, Juju. I might sit James Conner this week. I have some Jalen Samuel shares behind him, so that's something I might be looking into. Follow his status as he goes closer to Sunday. He says that he's good to go. Steelers are sitting him, so he might just sit out all week and play on Sunday and be good to go. So we'll see. From the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, 29 for 35, 300 yards. 3 touchdowns, setting the standard at the quarterback position, just getting it done, super efficient. I mean, the Steelers' secondary is super bad. I get that. But at the same time, Russell Wilson, just super safe, super accurate in his passing game. And he's just efficient all the time. He's not taking big shots. His long play of the game was for 30 yards, 131 QBR rating. Just had himself a great day. I loved it. Rashad Penny, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Kind of playing spoiler to the Chris Carson show. Chris Carson, 15 carries, 60 yards, 3 catches, 27 yards, but he did have the fumble. Not good, Chris Carson. If you keep fumbling the ball, you will not stay on the field. Chris Carson still had, 87 all-purpose yards. Still had a good day. The fumble did spoil his fantasy score because he didn't have a touchdown. But Chris Carson is still the guy going forward there. I just think that the Steelers held him in check. The Steelers' defensive front is still very strong. They have some good players up there. Tuitt, Watt. They got Bush that came in, Mark Barron that's in there playing linebacker. Both those guys are strong pressure linebackers. So they were up a strong defensive front. But I expect Chris Carson to still be the guy going forward. But Penny has earned himself more playing time. Don't deny yourself that. I think Penny is a flex starter potentially in maybe some dual flex leagues. It's a standalone 1 flex, I don't know if I'm putting him in there. I think there's a lot of options out there. They're going to be a little bit more reliable. But in 2 flex, multi-flex leagues, definitely give me some Rashad Penny. The wide receivers, Tyler Lockett getting it done, 10 catches, 79 yards. DK Metcalf, 3 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver, guys, he plays the position. A lot of guys were doubting DK Metcalf's value coming into this year, but he's showing that he can get it done and that he's going to be a reliable piece going forward. Definitely a wide receiver 3-piece for me. I'll throw him in a 3rd wide receiver spot or a flex spot. And, of course, you're locking up Tyler Lockett. Will Disley, 5 catches, 50 yards for 2 touchdowns, had his day inside the red zone. Nice to see a tight end get involved. Nick Vannett not doing anything. 1 catch for 13 yards. I was higher on Vannett coming into the season, but Will Disley had some big games last year. He just didn't play a ton for me to have enough confidence in him, but he's showing that he's a favorite of Wilson. Get him in your lineups, guys, going forward. I don't see why you wouldn't. Definitely an ownable player. If he's not in your lineup, get him on your bench, handcuffing whatever solid tight end you have ahead of him, because I think he's going to get some usage going forward. They don't have a ton of pass catchers there. DK Metcalf still only had 6 targets, not a ton there. Lockett, 12 targets, so someone else has got to catch some balls there. Snap count in that game, 54% for Chris Carson. Rashad Penny, 33%. Still getting that touchdown, kind of outplaying him in fantasy. But Chris Carson still is going to be the guy going forward, so still look out for him getting more timeshare on the field. Metcalf played a lot, 89%. Lockett, 89%. So obviously the guys you want to own there. Jerron Brown, 73% snap count percentage, but not getting any love on the field. And Disley over Vannett, 59-42. Disley over Vannett. Steelers, where's my James Washington? James Washington, 60% of the time, getting some more playing time. Juju Smith-Schuster, 82%. Vance McDonald, 91% of the time on the field. Most consistent timeshare for the pass-catching position. Let's see here. James Conner, 54%. Jalen Samuels, 39%. I hate it. I know he got hurt, but damn it, give me that bell cow Conner. Where is he? I want to see him. Where is he? Dante Moncrief, 32% snap count percentage. Ryan Switzer, 23%. Get him off your team. Get him off your bench. They're not ownable. Benny Snell, 2 snaps, not ownable. I don't know why he's there. On the field, that is. Everybody needs a backup. All right, Bills at the Giants. Bills, 28-14 over the Giants on the road. As I said, Bills would come in, play spoiler. Josh Allen getting it done. 19 for 30, 250 yards, and a passing touchdown with 21 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. So mixing in a little bit of the rushing game. He's not throwing up those Lamar Jackson rushing numbers, but the passing numbers are pretty similar there. So maybe one of these weeks, Josh Allen finally busts off for like a 100-yard rushing game. And especially if Devin Singletary's banged up this week. He was limited in practice. Frank Gore, 19 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown rushing. Devin Singletary, 6 rushing attempts, 57 yards, and a rushing touchdown. So, hey, Buffalo guys, guess what? They like to rush. They're playing Cincinnati this week. Worst team against the rushing play. Frank Gore, he's in play. He's live this week. Get him in your lineups. Devin Singletary, he's questionable, but I think he's going to play. Get him in your lineups as well. They have a juicy matchup up against Cincinnati. Same thing for Josh Allen. Got to get him in your lineups because I could see him eating a lot in the ground. Could be that 100-yard week. I'm not sure. Cole Beasley, 4 catches, 83 yards. John Brown, 7 catches, 72 yards. John Brown showing that he's the real deal this year, that he's the real thing. Keep him in your lineups. Throw Cole Beasley in your wide receiver 3 or a flex. The rest of these guys, not much to show for. Dawson Knox, Zay Jones, Lee Smith, Tommy Sweeney, Robert Foster, non-ownable, not startable. Zay Jones had 3 targets, 1 catch. Knox, 4 targets, 1 catch. Just not getting it done. Brown, Beasley, they're the weapons there. Singletary still getting some action. 2 catches, 40 yards in the. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Isaiah McKenzie, and that was another pass-catching touchdown that should be included. Isaiah McKenzie, 2 catches, 40 yards, and a pass-catching touchdown. I forgot about him. Sneaky play. Not someone that I'm plugging into a lineup, and not really someone I'm even owning. Just one of those knob gobblers that's going to sneak into the lineup and steal some touchdowns, which is really strange to me because you have T.J. Yeldon there. You'd think he'd get a little bit more usage. T.J. Yeldon, someone I would assume would get more usage this week if Devin Singletary is out. But hey, maybe it's Isaiah McKenzie. Look out for him. I'll get to the snap counts in a second on him. Eli Manning, may he rest in peace. 26 for 45, 250 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Sorry, bud. Shortest leash in the business, it looked like, or in the league. I had no idea it was in New York, but shortest leash in the league. Eli Manning gets pulled. Enter Daniel Jones this upcoming week. See what we get. Playing Tampa, who's played some strong defense. Maybe Dan Jones mixes things up and exposes them. I'm not sure, but Eli Manning, stat line doesn't really matter. He's gone. He's on your bench. He's not ownable. He's back to the waivers. Get him off your team if he's still there. Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 touchdown, rushing touchdown. Setting the standard. That's all. Just setting the running back standard. No big deal. Consistent week in, week out, what you're going to get. You're never going to bench him. Don't trade him. Don't sell high. Everything's fine. Dan Jones will take care of business. Nothing to be concerned about. Saquon Barkley owners. Sterling Shepard still out with a concussion protocol. The rest of these guys really didn't do much. Beanie Fowler had a lot of targets, 10 targets. Evan Ingram, 8 targets. Both of those guys had 5 or 6 catches for about 50 yards. No touchdown. TJ Jones mixed in a touchdown, 3 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown. Cody Latimer, 3 catches, 30 yards. Not really sure what to expect here out of these pass catchers. I'm not trying to grab any of these guys. Beanie Fowler is just the guy that I want just based off of usage. Beanie Fowler played 79% of the time, same amount as Evan Ingram, 79%. So that's just the guy to get there out of usage, but he's still probably going to be on my bench. Not really sure if I'm going to start him this week. Dan Jones has to throw to somebody. Tampa defense has been pretty solid, actually, so Evan Ingram, I think, is the play there for them this week. Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, and Dan Jones in some super flex. For the Bills, let's see, Isaiah McKenzie, only 22% of the time, not someone I'm going to be targeting. Devin Singletary did come out with a hamstring injury, so he only played 33%. Cole Beasley playing half the time, 49%. Zay Jones playing 59% of the time, but not getting any love. John Brown, 79%. Obviously, he's the number one there, the guy that you want to own and start every week out of their offense, outside of your Josh Allen starts. All right, Pats, whopping of the Fins. Shame on Bill Belichick, as I said before. Get Tom Brady out of the game, man. That's fucked up. That's messed up, man. I saw Blake Martinez roll the shit out of his ankle, just running at the quarterback, just running at him. That can happen to anybody. But Tom Brady does Pilates, so I guess maybe not. It won't happen to him because his ankles are made of steel. Tom Brady, 20 for 28, 264 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Again, setting the standard, super efficient, no challenge here. Sony Michel clocked in for 21 carries, 85 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Tom added in a rushing touchdown on the goal line. Just what's there to say? You're playing up against a college team. The Dolphins are terrible. I don't understand it. All these guys ate. The stat lines, you can take them as they are. James Washington, 3 catches and a touchdown. Antonio Brown, was alive in this game, 4 catches, 56 yards and a touchdown. He stole from the plates that are of Julian Edelman and Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon only added in 2 catches, hardly was used. Julian Edelman, 4 catches for 50 yards. Same volume as Antonio Brown, but no touchdown. So yeah, we'll see what we get out of Antonio Brown going forward. If he's on the field, if he's not on the field. If he's not on the field, Edelman and Gordon stocks, they're up. But the run guys, they're pretty safe. Burkhead and Michelle are pretty safe. They're going to have roles in this offense. Burkhead, 60 total yards, all purpose, adding in 2 catches for 5 carries. Philip Dorsett, ownable going forward, I suppose. If you want to handcuff some of these receivers or you just need a dart. Matt Lacoste, same thing. They're there. They're playing the Jets this week. Pretty good matchup. Bad defense. Not really sure what to expect there again because the spread is so large. You're clocking it at like a 22-point, 21.5-point spread for the Pats and the Jets game. So again, I could see something similar to this where maybe if Antonio Brown's playing, he gets an early touchdown. Still he led the team with targets. He had 8 targets in this game. He could still get used a lot because his days may be limited. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm going to start any Antonio Brown, Edelman, Gordon, Michelle, Burkhead in a deeper flex, White as a standard flex. Burkhead does have some value because he is getting some all-purpose yards here. 60 catches or 60 yards this week, 80 yards the week before. Just needs some more catches. I could see him easily getting 4 or 5 catches and providing you some value in a flex position. But just own him. Don't need to start him every week. Just stream him with some opportunity. Maybe Michelle gets banged up or White goes out or something like that. Something happens and you get a week where you can play him easily. Definitely someone you need to own. Don't drop him just yet. I don't need to talk about Miami. I don't know what there is to talk about. There's 4 interceptions between their quarterbacks. Ryan Fitzpatrick should ask for a trade. Why do you want to play your Ryan Fitzpatrick? Do they pay him extra to get everybody on board with not being good? Is he a big advocate of that? Is that why he had to get brought in? I don't understand. 3 interceptions for Fitzpatrick, 1 interception for Rosen. Preston Williams eclipsed over 50 yards. He had 63 yards for 4 catches. So that's nice if you want to own him. I just don't see the point in getting any of these guys. Balaj, Drake, what is the point? I watched Balaj literally duck under a pass. He ducked under a pass. Instead of taking the time to pivot his body, put his hands up, he said, no, I'm going to go this way. He ducked under the damn ball. It was about to hit him in the head. Duck under the ball, Kalen Balaj. Son of a bitch. Don't get any Miami Dolphins players. I'm not going to talk about any of their snaps or anything. Julian Edelman, 92%. Josh Gordon, still 79%, played a ton. Antonio Brown, 33%. They brought him into the game to be used. When he's on the field, he'll get used or he won't. So, still fire up your Josh Gordon shares. Don't be concerned about that. Philip Dorsett played more in this game than Antonio Brown, had 49%. Not sure what to expect out of this next coming week, out of those guys, out of those wide receivers, but I'm still pretty much starting all of them except for Dorsett, unless I just really need a touchdown-dependent wide receiver. The running backs, Michelle at 49%, James White at 31%, Burkhead at 24%. Formula you're going to see going forward. You're going to see all of them get mixed in. Three-headed monster. I don't think you're going to see like Rex Burkhead steal like red zone touches from Sony Michel, but he's going to get used to move the chains. Just a Bill Belichick cornerstone. He's just a favorite of Bill Belichick's. I don't know what to tell you. All right, next we have Chiefs at the Raiders. Chiefs locking it down 28-10. They scored all 28 of these points in the second quarter, which is really interesting to me. Patrick Mahomes had 30 completions, 44 yards, 443 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns. I want to say it was like 278 of the yards were in the second quarter, and then they just carried the game away with like mixed in running and shorter passing and just, missing on third down. And yeah, I don't know. Mahomes had a fumble as well, just kind of a weird game. These running backs splitting carries again. McCoy, 23 yards on 11 carries. Dame Williams, 9 carries, 8 yards. 3 catches for Damian Williams, 48 yards, kind of saving his fantasy day, salvaging it because of his receiving value. But both of them are banged up right now. Got to follow both of them going into Sunday. Darwin Thompson should be live this weekend. They should be getting him touches because even if McCoy and Williams are both a go, they are going to manage their workload because this is a team that's playing for the Super Bowl. All we're hearing right now is buzz about the Chiefs getting Jalen Ramsey. And this is why they brought in LaShawn McCoy, because they want to have depth at the running back position because they have to protect Patrick Mahomes in the pass game from the damn blitz in the playoffs because they're going to play the Patriots at some point and they're going to blitz them every damn play. But I digress. Darwin Thompson's going to get more playing time this week. He's live. Look for him on waivers if he's free. If you need to spend some FAB on him still, go out and get him. Demarcus Robinson went off. 6 catches, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I saw him go for $100 in FAB. I spent, I think, $62 on him somewhere. I did it. I'm one of them. It's me. I'm there. I'm in line. I'm guilty. Okay? You can point the finger at me. But hey, you have to. I'm a Tyreek Hill owner. I lost him. Demarcus Robinson showing some favoritism from Patrick Mahomes, right? 172 yards is nothing to knock, guys. Some big plays downfield. Mecole Hardman still clocked in for 4 catches and 60 yards and a touchdown. And I believe he had a touchdown called back on a long play. So he is live as well. Travis Kelce setting the tight end standard, set 7 catches, 107 yards and a touchdown. Just doing his thing. He was there. Sammy Watkins owners, so sorry. 6 catches, 49 yards. Had 13 targets, but the Raiders made a point to stop him, it looks like. He was the number 1 guy. If you have some other targets there that can open up some space for him, he's still a viable play every week. You're going to start Sammy Watkins every week. I'm giving these guys a little bit of chirp action here, but at the same time, what do you expect? I mean, it's Sammy Watkins, peaks and valleys here. I mean, this next week, Sammy Watkins' stat line could be DeMarcus's, and they could flip from this week. It could be completely varied with this offense. It's a fast-paced, deep flying offense. So any one of these guys is live for big plays. Hardman, Robinson, Kelce, Watkins. You got to start all of them. Dame Williams, McCoy. You're following going into Sunday. Who you're starting, who you're sitting. I can't give you that answer right now. Darwin Thompson, definitely going to be live this weekend. Get him in your lineup. He didn't do anything this past week. But he will definitely get some action with the workload management. Derek Carr, 23 for 38, 190 yards, touchdown and 2 interceptions. Not great, but what to expect. Trying to force the ball down the field, kind of showing his kryptonite, not being able to hit deep balls. Josh Jacobs was good, but they didn't use him enough. Only 12 carries for 99 yards. had a 51-yard or 50-yard carry, 50-yard long carry. Sorry, I couldn't spit that out. So he made up a majority of his work in one play, and his other 11 carries only averaging about 3.8 yards a carry or something like that. So not a great day for him, but he did get pulled with a groin injury towards the end there. Darren Waller, Tyrell Williams, still the guys to own. 63 yards for Waller, 46 yards for Williams, and a touchdown for Williams as well. Carrier and Renfro getting mixed in. Renfro did have 8 targets, but not a ton of love. Only 4 catches for 30 yards. Derek Carrier 3 catches for 33 yards. Not guys that I'm putting into my lineup, but I will put a share of Hunter Renfro on my bench. I think you can grab him for free. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Let's see here. For the Raiders, Tyrell Williams played a ton, 94%. Waller, 95%. Starting them every week. Availability equals production. Hunter Renfro, 75%. Guy that you can probably get into your lineup if you need a deeper play at wide receiver. Josh Jacobs, 46%, but like I said, he was pulled on a groin injury. He's still monitoring that going forward, so that's something you want to follow. Let's see, Williams and McCoy. Williams outplayed McCoy 51 to 41%. Hardman, 74%. Demarcus Robinson, 91%. And Watkins, 92%. So those are the guys. Clearly, they're going to be on the field more. Hardman looks like getting used in more as a slot, 74% snap count percentage, where they're running out the 2 wide receiver sets with Watkins and Robinson. They're bigger guys. That makes sense. I can see why they're doing that. All right, Saints at the Rams. Saints not showing up. Drew Brees going out early with that thumb injury. Had 3 for 5 attempts, 38 yards, and an interception. Tried to pick up the ball. We all saw it. Really a shame. I could see them splitting it right down the middle with Bridgewater and Hill. Like, oh, we'll put in Hill at quarterback right now, and we'll put Bridgewater in at running back. Who knows what they'll think we'll do? I don't know. And then we'll put in Bridgewater at quarterback and Hill at wide receiver, and then we'll have Hill come back in on 3rd down and run the Wildcat. It'll be great and super confusing and super aggravating to all of us. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but I could see it happening. The Saints offense isn't afraid to take risks and be creative, so I could see some nonsense like that going down this upcoming week. But I'm still going to start me some Mike Thomas and some Alvin Kamara. On the other side of the ball, we got Jared Goff, 19 for 28, 283 yards and a touchdown. Much better showing than week 1. It did add in a rushing touchdown on the 1. That was nice to see. Gurley, kind of meh on the yardage game, on the efficiency, 16 carries, 63 yards and a touchdown. I would have liked to see a little bit more there. Malcolm Brown, 6 carries, 37 yards, no touchdown, 1 catch for 10 yards. So you saw Gurley get the touchdown. Malcolm Brown not coming in and stealing all of the love. So that's nice to see there. The weapons in the wide receiver game, Woods, Kupp, and Cooks, really cutting it up. Woods, 2 targets, 33 yards. Kupp, 9 targets, 5 catches, 120 yards. And Cooks, 3 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Going to eat at each other every week, guys. Robert Woods, he was kind of the guy that was getting drafted ahead of those two with Coops and Kupp in most drafts. So kind of disappointing to see that type of week out of him, but that's the type of sharing that we're going to see going forward out of these wide receivers. They all play a lot, so you have to like their upside. You have to start every one of them each week because any one of them could go off at any one time. But it's just something that you have to play with. You have to have some other strong starters alongside him to kind of take into account maybe a mishap here or there where you get a Woods week where he's only getting 2 catches for 33 carries. The other guy's obviously solid, right? Kupp, 5 catches, 120 yards. Cooks, 3 catches, 74 yards, and he had the touchdown. So that's great. With Gurley and Brown, I continue to see them splitting carries going forward. Looking at the snaps here, you got 64% for Gurley and 36% for Brown. As we get deeper into the season, maybe we see Gurley take a larger workload. I'm not sure, but for right now, I think the 60-30 or whatever, 64-35 split, that's going to be kind of common going forward. And I do see Malcolm Brown having some usage into the red zone. The wide receivers, like I said, they all play a ton. Cooper Kupp, 94%. Brandon Cooks, 97%. Robert Woods, 99%. We'd like to see a little bit more out of that. But hey, Saints were all over him. Let's see. Saints, you got Alvin Kamara, 65%. Not great. You'd like to see more usage there. Latavius Murray, 35%. Get them both on the field at the same time, but you got to use Alvin Kamara more going forward. The Saints, come on. You're going to be hurting at the running back or quarterback position. Sorry. You're going to have some type of run focus here. I think they have to use him more and lean on him a little bit more. Ted Ginn, 60% snap count. Trey Quinn, 58%. Behind Michael Thomas is 98. Again, going forward, I don't know if you want to start either of those guys other than Michael Thomas, just based off of the quarterback play that we've seen thus far. Same thing with Jared Cook. He had 2 catches on 7 targets. Not a ton of love there. So Michael Thomas is the only a guy I'm starting outside of Alvin Kamara there. I might even put Latavius Murray away just because I really think and I really believe they have to lean on Kamara more, and I believe that they will. So yeah, that's a wrap for that one. The Bears at the Broncos. I don't care. Say what you want. Bad calls, multiple bad calls. Referees can't interpret, roughing the passer. I don't care. A win's a win, baby. A win's a win. I'll take it because being 0-2 sucks. And I would have really hated to go into Monday Night Football. Literally going into Monday Night Football 0-2. It just would have felt bad. Up against a Washington Redskins team also 0-2. And we got to watch maybe a kicking competition if the offenses don't take off. So loved it this week. The Bears obviously got lucky. They got the roughing the passer penalty to extend the drive. Then they got the completion to Allen Robinson. And then they get into the field goal range. Then the clock runs out. Then they say, you know what, fuck it. Let's let them kick it. There was 1 second on the clock. We're letting him kick it. Just kick it, kid. Let's see what you got. Eddie Pinheiro lines it up. Gotcha. Bang, bang. Home. We're going home with a win. All right. Welcome to Dub Club. Yeah. Maybe you're not in love with it. I understand Broncos fans. It's bullshit. If I was any other fan in the league, I would call it exactly what it is, which is bullshit. But hey, win's a win. I'll take it. Sorry. I'm a fan at the end of the day. I gotta be a fan of something. Come on. All right, so the Bears. Mitch Trubisky, still super meh. All right, 16 for 27, 120 passing yards, 1 carry for 8 yards. If you're not going to do anything in the passing game, Mitch, you might as well run the damn ball. You might as well use those damn legs that you got. Shit. Come on, man. Do something, Mitch. Wake up. You got a defense that you're coming into with the Washington Redskins that I think has allowed the most passing yards in the league. So it's either the most passing yards or the most yards overall, one or the other. So do stuff this week, Mitch. Do stuff. I will be there to see if you do stuff. All right, 16 for 27, 120 yards. Not impressive. David Montgomery, 18 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Came alive, right? Got his touchdown. Is active in the fantasy world now. Before, not really getting enough love. Tariq Cohen was getting a ton of catches, not getting enough volume to David Montgomery. Whether Davis or Cohen were getting passes out of the backfield or as just wide receivers, they were getting the most usage out of the running back position. We saw that come back down to earth with David Montgomery really getting fed the ball. Obviously, the yardage wasn't there. I think that'll improve going forward. Cordell Patterson had 2 rushing attempts for 50 yards. One of them was for 46, so that was jumped in as a chunk play as well. Tariq Cohen, super disappointing. 4 carries, 18 yards, 2 catches for 7 yards. Owners of him are super disappointed this past week. I think he'll have a better week going forward. But he was held in check up against a pretty good defensive front. Those little guys still need to be able to have some time to get out wide. And when the offensive line is crushing in on Mitch and he has to get the ball out quick, there's sometimes a little opportunity to get the ball to him. So I look for him to have more opportunity going forward. Mike Davis, finally, you bastard, you were held in check. I hope you get used like this week in and week out. 3 carries, 1 yard. Let Cohen and Montgomery do their thing. They're the fantasy guys, all right? I understand, as a Bears fan, I need someone in there to come in and, take a little bit of the workload off of those guys. They're still a little younger, David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen, but damn it, Mike Davis, know your role. Just stay on the bench. Let Montgomery and Cohen do their thing. And let us, fantasy people have our days, okay? Jeez, is that so much to ask for? Your strategy match up with ours? Allen Robinson, 4 catches, 41 yards, had that game-saving catch to get him into field goal range. Adam Shaheen, 3 catches, 24 yards. Ben Bronnecker. Ben Bronnecker, 2 catches, 24 yards. Don't add that guy, okay? Bears fans, don't do that. Trey Burton, 2 catches for 5 yards. I don't know what to tell you there, guys. A lot of tight ends on the field, okay? A lot of double and triple tight end sets, so that's just what you're going to see out of those guys. Availability equaling opportunity because Mitch, won't challenge himself, won't push the ball down the field, won't take risks. If his first option isn't open, he is throwing out of bounds, okay? Because that's just the deal this year, it looks like. So None of those guys I'm owning. Anthony Miller, again, super disappointing. Had a ton of hype on him coming into the year, but Allen Robinson seems to be the only guy that he is favoriting, other than the running backs getting used. Cordell Patterson getting mixed in the gadget type role. Taylor Gabriel, he had, was it 1 catch for 11 yards, 1 rushing attempt for 14 yards. Let him get some more action, Nagy. Come on, man. I mean, I just see some of these guys just getting mismanaged, and maybe it really just starts with Mitch. Maybe he just really has to take that leap forward, which he has not done. And maybe he just needs to take the next step, and all these other guys' stat lines will elevate. I'm not sure, but just super meh now out of the Bears. I'm hoping and praying for something more out of them this coming Monday. Did I mention I'm going to Monday Night Football? Joe Flacco coming in at 35 for 50, 292 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. 50 passing attempts against the Bears, but just kept it short and sweet, short intermediate plays. His longest pass was for 24 yards. But hey, it worked. It really did, because they had him right where they wanted him, guys. They were who we thought they were. That's what all the Broncos were saying in the locker room after the game, because they had the Bears right where they wanted them, and the Bears got bailed out on calls and technicalities, clocks, and one awesome play from Allen Robinson, etc. You know what I mean? Like, they had them right where they wanted them. The Broncos were doing exactly what they needed to beat a good defense at home. They had the whole formula. Ground and pound with your running backs, eat up the clock, don't let the Bears play a ton with the ball, and just feed the short and sweet stuff. So you got Royce Freeman, 11 carries, 54 yards. Phillip Lindsay, 13 carries, 36 yards. No rushing touchdown for either of them, but they didn't have to do a lot. They just needed to get the ball into the middle of the field and keep chucking out the clock. They also worked into the passing game. 4 catches, 30 yards, 5 catches, 48 yards, 48 for Freeman and 30 for Lindsay. So both fantasy relevant. Both, Lindsay, 66 total yards with 4 catches. Royce Freeman, 54 to 48. Yeah, just under 100 yards with 5 catches. Great week for Royce Freeman. Emmanuel Sanders, back in the game. I'm loving Emmanuel Sanders coming back from that injury. Loving it. 11 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Cortland Sutton mixing in for 4 catches, 40 yards, no touchdown. Noah Fant doing some work, 4 catches. 4 catches, 33 yards. Jeff Heuerman, 4 catches, 21 yards. So they were keeping a lot of action, short and sweet, intermediate routes, 10 to 15 yard out routes, stuff like that. Deshaun Hamilton actually had 6 targets, but couldn't get any action. Only 2 catches for 15 yards. Get down. This damn cat, he loves his helmet. He just wants to jump in there. Can't let him right now. So yeah, possession for Denver, like I said, they outpossessed them by about 5 minutes. I know that's not like a ton. You might have been thinking I was explaining a little bit more of a gap there, but when you're eating up that much and you're coming down to a field goal, 5 minutes is a big deal. That's a big amount of time. So looking at the running backs for the Broncos, that split, you're looking at 52 Freeman, 48 Lindsay. So Freeman was a little bit more of an advantage this week up against the Bears, it looked like, just because they needed the slow ground and pound. I think Lindsay could have a bigger week or role going forward, still getting used into the passing game. I was kind of surprised with Freeman's role in the pass game this week. He caught a lot of balls back there. Sanders still on the field a lot, 93%. Sutton on the field a lot, 95%. Hamilton playing a lot, 66. Fant, 66% as well. So all those guys are definitely ownable. You're keeping Fant and Hamilton on your bench for right now. But Freeman, Lindsay, starters all going forward. The Bears, man, really not much to show here. They're ahead of the Dolphins, but not by much, man, in the offensive side of things. I think they have 2 touchdowns, or is it 1 touchdown? They have one touchdown all year. Cohen, 38%. Montgomery, 44%. Gabriel on the field a lot, 87%. Robinson, of course, up there a lot, 90%. Not really much to mix in other than, your Cohen flex play, your Montgomery flex play. You're not starting Gabriel. You're not starting Miller. You're starting Robinson every week, and you're not starting Mitch in any format. In Superflex this league, I'm sorry, Mitch. I don't trust you, bud. I'm sorry. I can't do it. All right, so then we have the Eagles at the Falcons. Carson Wentz, 25 for 43, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, and had one rushing touchdown in close as well. 10 carries for 28 yards for Sanders, 8 carries for Howard for 18 yards. Not much there in the rushing game. Leaning on the passing game quite a bit. It's unfortunate because you have Deshaun Jackson out and you have, excuse me, Alshon Jeffrey out as well. So you're getting a lot of action from Nelson Aguilar, getting some Jaws sightings, some J.J. Arcega Whiteside sightings, more action for Sproles, only in the passing game, not in the rushing game. So you had, let's see here, Nelson Aguilar, 8 catches for 107 yards. Matt Collins was worked in for 5 catches for 50 yards because you have Dallas Goedert out as well. And then Darren Sproles, 2 catches for 5 yards, nothing there. Arcega Whiteside had 4 targets, but only 1 catch. But I do see him as a live option going forward. The guy to grab here is Nelson Aguilar. He's going to have the most volume. He'll be on the field the most with those guys out. Follow those injuries, the Jackson and the Jeffrey injuries, as we get closer to Sunday. If they're going to be plays or not, Jackson will be out. Jeffrey, I think, is still just going to be week to week, so he's someone you want to follow. Carson Wentz, okay game, just not accurate. You want to see some more accuracy. Had the 2 interceptions. I mean, both of these quarterbacks, not great, but just showed, missing his weapons. Missing Jackson, missing Jeffrey, just showed some weakness in the downfield accuracy. So look for Wentz to improve on that going forward. Some shorter, intermediate attacking. You have Ertz there, you have Aguilar, and you have some good running backs still. You just need to use them appropriately, or maybe give just one guy the job. 10 for 28 for Sanders, 8 for 18 for Howard. Unimpressive. Matt Ryan, speaking of unimpressive, 3 interceptions, saved his fantasy day with 3 touchdowns, 27 for 43, 320 yards. Had Julio, do all the work, 2 touchdowns. Had that big screenplay. Shout out to, Ryan Matthews, the lineman that went out and busted that big-ass block to open that wide hole for Jones downfield. That was an awesome-looking play. Calvin Ridley also had over 100 yards and a touchdown, 8 catches. Both had 10 targets, Jones and Ridley. Ridley showing he's the real deal. Needs to be started every week in this offense. He's just getting a ton of love. Right now, Mohamed Sanu, or not right now, but Mohamed Sanu had 4 catches for 16 yards, 7 targets. Ridley's just more talented. There should never be any week where you're considering benching him over anybody, even running backs in a flex. He's a live starter every week. Julio Jones had the 5 catches, 106 yards, like I said. Had that big screenplay for the winner at the end of the game. Matt Ryan, just not consistent. Very similar play out of both these quarterbacks. He only had 2. Sorry, battery died. Okay, so Matt Ryan, super unimpressive. Wasn't very accurate. Still was able to get the ball to his guys, down the stretch. Ridley and Jones, but not someone that I'm feeling super comfortable. He's a little bit lower on the quarterback list, but a guy that you're going to have to start if you drafted him and you're don't have backup options, or you're not looking to sign somebody off the waivers or something like that. So definitely a guy that you still have to start every week. If you went out and drafted him as your top quarterback, just because he is going to have that value there for you, and he has these weapons around him with Jones and Ridley. To me, it's really just the running game not getting going. You have Ito Smith, only 4 carries for 32 yards, 2 catches for 13 yards. Devontae Freeman, 11 attempts for 22 yards and 3 catches for 42 yards. There's just not enough there for me in the rushing game, which really needs to get going to open up the passing game with a little bit more efficiency, in my opinion. So, Falcons snap counts, Mohamed Sanu still clocking in the most at 83%. They use him a ton. He's a good blocker. That's what they like out of him. Julio Jones, 82%. Calvin Ridley, 64%. So Calvin Ridley getting in the game and getting used. When they put him in there, they use him. Ito Smith, 38%. And then you have, where is he? Ito Smith at 38%. And Devontae Freeman at 62. Sorry, I was about to say 64. Devontae Freeman, 62%. Ito Smith at 38% snap count percent split. Look for that to be similar going forward, but Ito Smith just kind of continues to shine, just to me, a little bit more than Devontae Freeman. He just looks better, on the field as far as like the eye test goes. To me, he just looks like the better play. I'm not starting either of them. Honestly, I'm not an advocate of starting Freeman right now. Maybe in a flex position if you need him, but he is not a lock for me in the running back 1 or 2 slot on my team whatsoever. So the Eagles. You saw a lot of Nelson Aguilar, 96%. You saw a lot of Jaws, a lot of J.J. Arcega at 93%. Matt Collins, 85%. Miles Sanders, 43%. Darren Sproles played a good amount, 35%. Again, no rushing attempts for him, only pass-catching work. And then Jordan Howard, 22%, had those 8 carries. Deshaun Jackson was actually on the field for 11 snaps, but wasn't able to do anything, wasn't able to continue to give it a go. Okay, so wrapping it up, we have the Browns at the Jets. Browns taking care of business in this abysmal game. 23-3. Baker Mayfield, super inaccurate, but was able to hit a deep ball for Odell Beckham. Nice, bright, shiny play. Woo! Baker Mayfield, 19 for 35, 325 yards. Nick Chubb, 18 for 62 and a touchdown. Nick Chubb showing that he's the guy there. He's the guy that's going to have the most usage in that offense. So you're definitely starting him every week. Never fade him. 4 catches for 36 yards. So he did nearly have 100 total yards. D'Ernest Johnson, I mentioned him last week, had 3 catches for 42 yards. Did get some work there, but only had 3 rushing attempts for 8 yards. So maybe someone that you might want to handcuff going forward for the next couple weeks until Hunt gets back if you do have the roster availability. Odell Beckham, 6 catches, 180 yards, had 1 big play for 89 yards and a touchdown. Damian Ratley, 2 catches, 50 yards. Jarvis Landry, 3 for 7, 32 yards. Not impressive whatsoever. Did have a 32-yard play. That was nice to see, but man, the Browns' offense just super disappointing. I understand the Jets' defense is solid, but at the same time, just staggering numbers here for these guys. Other than Odell Beckham, Landry, Ratley. Even Chubb, the 18 for 62, it's not great. They need to get a little bit more efficient. But I think that they're going to get better as they go into the season. I think once we get into October, we're going to see a different type of Browns team. But for now, it's the wait-and-see game. I would honestly be okay selling any of these guys right now, Odell, Landry, even Chubb, just because Chubb is going to get some more action in these next coming weeks. Kitchens has been very vocal about that. But at the same time, you're going to have the Hunt, talk start to creep in here as we get deeper and deeper. So, he's definitely a guy that I'm looking to sell, in the next coming weeks if I have the availability to do so. No one really to add down there. Taywan Taylor was brought into their team. He's not doing anything. He only had 1 target. Farrell Brown, 1 target. Demetrius Harris, 1 target after David Njoku went out on a pretty rough hit, landed on his neck. I don't know if he's going to give it a go this week or not, but he could be out. If you're looking for a play, like some deeper plays because he's out, that's something that you're going to want to monitor. I'm not sure if he's out. He's just questionable and not practicing. He's in concussion protocol. So look for some guys to add. We'll get into the preview this week with some guys that you might be able to replace him with. Jets. Trevor Siemian, 3 for 6, 3 yards, broken ankle, no touchdowns, no interceptions, just the broken ankle. Sorry, Trev. Enter Luke Falk, 3rd-string quarterback on Monday Night Football. That's kind of cool, right? Until you go 20 for 25, 198 yards. It's not bad. It's not bad. Maybe the 3rd-string kid should have been in the whole time. I don't know. Lev Bell, 21 carries, 68 yards, 10 catches, 60 yards. The bell cow worker's there. He said use him. You gave him 30 touches. He said use me. You used him. Keep doing it. I don't care how bad you are. Keep giving him 30 damn touches. The Jets, please. I love it. Everyone should love it if you're a Lev Bell shareholder. Ty Montgomery still getting worked in. 3 carries, 25 yards. 3 catches, 15 yards. Robbie Anderson, 4 catches, 80 yards. Jamison Crowder, 4 catches, 40 yards. So those guys are still live. Crowder was super slow until Falk came in. He was getting no action. Got some love down the stretch of the game. Same thing with Anderson, honestly, because Simeon only had 3 yards, right? So what am I talking about? So all these guys got some value as Falk came into the game. So looks like he should be serviceable going forward with Darnold out maybe a couple more weeks. Not really much to report here on the shares. Robbie Anderson and Crowder played about every snap of the game. So start those guys going forward in good matchups, with Darnold on the field. I still have to be in question with Falk. If I really need a deeper guy, I might start Crowder, but I'm not really confident in Falk. Didn't show us enough. Just came in on limited action, probably playing with a little bit of adrenaline, and he didn't really push the ball down the field. He wasn't challenging the safeties or anything like that. So I'm not buying in on those guys just yet. I'll take another week to wait and see on Crowder and Anderson. On the Brown side of things, D'Ernest Johnson played 39% of the time. That's really the only thing to write home about. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All these other guys played a lot, like they should. Landry, 99%. Odell Beckham, 91. He came out for a couple of plays. He came down on his ankles, kind of funny in the end zone. He was out for a couple of plays. That was about it. Demetrius Harris filling in for Njoku. Ratley playing 60% of the time. If that's a deeper play you want to get into, I'm not really interested in Damian the Ratley. So that's up to you if you want to go ahead and grab him on a deep flyer. He does tend to come in and steal some touches. No Higgins this week. So yeah, he might be a deep flyer for them. But that's pretty much it, other than the Dearness Johnson. Definitely a grabbable player, in my opinion, going forward, if you're looking to handcuff Chubb in some deeper formats. So that's it, guys. That's the episode, the Week 2 recap. I'm going to be coming to you this Saturday with the Week 3 preview, going over some opportunity plays, who we need to be plugging in and playing in some positions based off of some guys maybe missing Thursday and Friday practices. We'll go over all of that. Thank you for stopping back in for another episode. I will see you next time, and this was Take It to the Hizzy. See you.